Hey, you know what, man? This thing says that we are live. Hey, it's your boy Brandon, aka DetroitKoolAid, your credential Pistons reporter, writer for the network. But somebody who's a legend in this field, that's this guy here, one Mr. Terry Foster. And we wanted to be able to preview this Detroit Pistons off-season ahead. Some of the things that you heard, didn't like from Tom Gore, some of the comments from Trajan Langdon, and how urgent the Pistons should be this off-season, man.
I think they should be very urgent. But the thing that annoys me about this whole sports town is there's no urgency in this city. I was annoyed that Tom Gore said, well, we want to win a playoff game next year. Forget that. You should be thinking championship. What can you do to put yourself in position to win a championship? Now, they probably won't do it, but at this point, what are you waiting for?
Hey, talk to me. You know what? That is true because when you look at where the East is at right now, this is some of the stuff we were talking about. They're in shambles right now. Philadelphia 76ers, they didn't meet any of the expectations. You look at the Atlanta Hawks, they fell off, and you every single year you hear the discussion about what's going to happen with Trey Young, and they've already parted with players like John Collins. You look at what happened with Boston. It's unfortunate what happened with the young bull Jason Tatum. But just kind of looking at all these things happening in the East right now, I believe now is the time for the Detroit Pistons to actually strike and try and do something substantial in this offseason.
Yeah, because all the Godzillas in the East weren't Godzilla.
Nah.
They were more like poodles.
Poodles?
Cleveland
You
and Boston. Cleveland
poodles?
and Boston. Poodles, babe.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? Cleveland, that was an interesting one there because we already know the connection to Detroit here and how they felt about one JB Bickerstaff. So it was interesting to see them go out, and I will say I took pleasure in the Cleveland Cavaliers getting beat by the Indiana Pacers. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right. The one team I did not want the Pistons to face in the playoffs was the Indiana Pacers. One, yeah, there's some history there, and that would have bubbled to the surface. But I thought the Pacers, the matchups were bad for the Pistons this year.
Yeah,
But I still said they would beat them. I still think they could have beaten them.
Yeah, definitely, man. When I look at that Indiana Pacers team, I see a team that seems like that they're really built for the playoffs. Similar to what we saw to the Indiana Pacers back in the day in '04 when they used to battle with the Detroit Pistons, and they seem really built for this. And to me, that is the more the blueprint I want to see out of the Detroit Pistons. They didn't waste any time after Tyrese Halliburton made the playoffs. They wasted no time in going out there and getting him a co-star. I thought that was
Right.
very crucial when they went out there and got Pascal Siakam. Who, what did he do? He made the All Star team this year, even when Tyrese Halliburton didn't. But you're looking at the effect that all these guys have right now in the playoffs, from a Miles Turner, to Pascal Siakam, to Tyrese Halliburton, and many others that are contributing. They're built they're built for this. And I know some people they have this one take that maybe the Pistons need to take the same approach. I believe they need to bring somebody in to help K because I believe that he is a player above what Tyrese Halliburton is. I will say that personally. And I don't think that it's a situation where he has to take a step back if you bring somebody else in, like we saw Tyrese
Let me
Halliburton have
take
to
it a
do
step
with
further.
Pascal Siakam.
Tom Gores, Trajan Langdon, whoever's in charge, because
Yeah.
we never know. Pull your pants down and do something.
What?
Pull your pants down
What you
and just
talking about,
roll.
bro? What you
Yeah.
talking about? Talk to me.
How about Kevin Durant?
KD,
Yeah.
because we know that Phoenix said that he's potentially on the move, or
Right.
more than likely on the move.
Right.
You know what, man?
Be one of the players.
But how do they make that happen? Because you heard what they stressed with from Trajan Langdon's press conference, whether you agree with it or not, that they actually there's probably a better chance that they run this whole thing back. Like All right, jeez, man. We're back here in the studio right now. But definitely, man, talk to the people about that because that's one of the points of contention. What strategy do you take this offseason to get this team there? Do you gut the young talent that you have on this roster? And do you tie up a lot of your cap space into a KD, or do you roll with these guys who kind of got you to this new precipice this
Yeah,
year?
I mean that's the thing with KD. You don't need him for long. You just need him for 2 years. After that, discard him, throw him away like garbage. But I think the Pistons should pull their pants down and do something. Um, I don't think the mentality should be, well, they were close against the Knicks, so let's win a playoff series. Now forget that. The East imploded. Your mentality should be when you're trying to put this team together, how can we put ourselves in a situation to win an NBA title? Um, I mean, when you look at it, yeah, the East did implode. Who's probably going to win it? OKC. I don't think OKC is that great. Yeah, they got the MVP and Shea, but I just don't think the talent from the other teams are that great. Now I thought it was Boston and Cleveland, but Boston is soft. Cleveland's got some issues too, so I think you can position yourself to get in there and to be strong and possibly contend for a title. That's what I would be thinking. I wouldn't be thinking about, well, I want to win a playoff series. No, not me. I want to win an NBA title. And if you fall short, so be it. But put yourself in position to win an NBA title because the thing that I always thought, Cleveland and Boston were the top dogs. Who's next? And I thought that who's next would come 2 or 3 years down the road. No, it's now. You can make who's next now. We saw that with the Knicks. The Knicks and the Pistons played a stellar series. I thought it was a great series. Um, a few calls or a few possessions. This series very well could have been a Pistons series. And I'm not going to say because of the non-call against Tim Hardaway Jr. is the reason they didn't win. I'm not going to say that because you had a guy with the Knicks, Jalen Brunson. He was going to make a play in the final 20 seconds of the game, no matter what the score was. He couldn't be stopped. Um, he was that guy that can make a big shot no matter what, and that's the thing about the NBA. You got a lot of great players, you got a lot of good players, but only a few can hit that shot in the final 30 seconds, 20 seconds, or whatever. You have to have that mentality. And I've been told a million times that there's a bunch of dudes in the NBA who could average 20 points a game. They can hit a jumper with 8 minutes and 53 seconds left in the third quarter, but can they hit that same shot with 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter or 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter? There's a lot of dudes that don't even want to take that shot. So the Pistons need that dude.
Pistons need that dude. And you know what, man? When I looked at the stats, and thank you for holding it down, T. Foss. Thank you guys for being here. I see Arf in the chat. He says, T. Foss, look, I'm going to be bringing more live chats back. I'm going to be getting with Anton, Chris Platty, T. Foss, Neil Rule, Flannel Sam, a lot of our basketball heads. Shout out to Stick as well, somebody who actually, when I talk about a lot of the other people who helped start Woodward Pistons in terms of Woodward basketball overall, shout out to Stick for even helping to give these types of opportunities early on. So we're going to definitely have a lot of different cast and characters here as we continue to bring more and more content to Woodward Sports. And I'm glad that we get to be able to do this again because when Woodward Pistons started, you were here in the beginning as well. And, you gave us a lot of time. You gave us a lot of good insight. You gave us a lot of mentorship. You gave us a lot of perspective and some stories from the past. So before we wrap up in about 10 minutes, I'm going to have you at least give the people T. Foss, story time with T. Foss, with Uncle T. Foss, something from the Pistons, whether it's free agency related from your time covering them or, anything that you think will get the people going. But, I'm wondering where the people sit with this because that's the strategy, right? The Pistons sit in a position where I think they can accelerate what they have right in front of them. But you got to ask yourself, how much of the identity that you just built up can you afford to effectively let go to be able to bring in a guy like KD? Because when you look at Cade Cunningham's usage, I remember after the first year when he had a 25% usage rate, and that was with Grant. That was with Jeremy Grant on the team. They said, "Look, we need to get somebody in here who can bring that usage down." Since then, it went 27%, 30%, 33%.
Right.
That's his usage now. 33.1% for Cade Cunningham, which is way too much. And to me, what that shows is when he's doing everything and when he's not in there, that is happening at a far less level. That's where I think it does back up what you're saying. They need another dog here more than they need just another facilitator or a backup point guard or another guard. I do wonder how much of that can be Jaden Ivey though.
Yeah, and that's the thing we don't know. Now, looking at the stats, you can say, yes, it is Jaden Ivey.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he can do it in the playoffs. It's not going to matter in the regular season. We know what he can do in the regular season. He's an erratic shooter. He can and I still think the Pistons have this in them. If you have Cade and Jaden Ivey, you switch up the tempo of the game.
Yeah.
It's like with Cade, let's slow it down a little bit. Let's be a little more methodical. And then Jaden Ivey, let's make them adjust to some fast-paced basketball. Or you could give up a guy like Jaden Ivey and maybe Jalen Durham for a guy like KD.
Man, that is
So
so
you got
tough.
options.
That is so tough, and you do have options. Y'all know me; it's uncomfortable for me. DetroitKoolAid is a name. I want to be able to be like, rah, rah, rah for all of our guys here, but for this team to really reach the levels that they have to, we even saw the Boston Celtics do it. They had to take people that they liked and they had to trade some of those guys to be able to make sure they can, bolster the squad. But the other thing they did, they were able to rely on some of that homegrown talent, and that's where I'm hoping to, Trajan Langdon, his strategy and his plan, that he is able to press that pedal a little bit. And if that is for a guy like KD, that he's able to protect a large portion of what the squad is. Because I do believe this. Phoenix hurt themselves, in my opinion, just a little bit. When you announce, we're just going to get rid of him. He didn't really work out for us. He's getting older. I wonder how much of that puts the Pistons and other prospective teams in a position to where they say, you know what? Maybe we don't have to gut everything that we have right now. And what's another thing the Pistons are going to get back after this draft or during this draft? The ability to trade first-round capital.
Right.
So they're going to have the ability to at least help the Phoenix Suns in their quest. But I do know this. The Phoenix Suns are also looking to put something around Devin Booker because Matt Ishbia claims that they're not trying to rebuild this thing. They're looking to win.
No, he's looking to rebuild this thing. I don't care what he says. But,
cheap concessions, getting rid of your stars.
Right.
It spells what it spells.
But it's a big mistake to say, we're going to get rid of him. Because now if I'm the Pistons, I'm not giving up as much. Because there's not going to be as much. And other teams are not going to give it up as much either. So you're not in a bidding war for KD.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe give up Duran and a first-round pick.
That is so tough, man. That is a tough one because I see Duran as somebody who, when you talk about the Pistons not having a first-round pick this year, why don't they have that first-round pick? Because they traded it with heavy protections for Jalen Duran. So he's effectively their first-round pick because they got two top 5 talents in the year that they drafted Jaden Ivey. And then they got Jalen Duran at pick 13 in a deal, a big deal that was like multiple deals with the New York Knicks that included Kemba Walker telling us, I don't want to play for y'all. And then he wound up overseas in China. So shout out to Kemba Walker. You missed out on the start of something good here, man. We could have been a vet presence, but I don't even know if I really wanted that here.
It sounds like you're a rollback guy. You just want to roll it back. And, that might work.
Part of me feels like there's just some tweaks that you can make. And, you saw the report yesterday because I want your take on this too. I want the unfiltered take. Pistons fans got really happy and giddy when they saw this news come across the screen. The Detroit Pistons, per Amico Hoops, Sam Amico, the Detroit Pistons are showing interest in signing Ty Jerome of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Having a career year, he's on a very cheap deal. The Cavaliers have some ability to be able to sign him to a decent deal, but they may only be able to afford 11 to 13 million. The Pistons have 24 million in cap space, and depending on what they give Schroeder and other people with raise, they may have the ability to actually offer a little bit more. But this is the rub, bro. Ty Jerome had dirt in his mouth about JB Bickerstaff.
He can't come then.
Oh, talk to me about this. I know in all your years you've seen everything, including these types of things, the beefs, how the relationships are between a coach and the players in that locker room. I saw some people who was like, y'all crazy if y'all want him. I know what the stats are, but that man was talking dirty about JB Bickerstaff. Remember all the Cavs players that doing that.
You know what? You can't do that, and it's not going to work. But here's what will happen.
Talk to me.
If they get him, they're going to have a press conference, and it's going to be full of bullshit.
Yeah.
And they say, "Oh man, I love JB Bickerstaff. No, that's my man." And you talking? What do you mean? I was had shade about? No, that's not true at all. No, or if he does admit to it, well, everything is swept under the rug, and it's not. These things bubble to the surface.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Philadelphia Eagles with Darius Slay and Matt Patricia.
Oh,
they had problems here, bubbled up in Philadelphia
right in
too.
Philadelphia. And you know what? You're right, bro. That defense fell off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense was awful, and it really cost them a lot, in my opinion. You see how they responded the very next year. Obviously, they went and they did some tweaks to try and shore up some weaknesses. But one of the big differences is coaching, and we don't undersell coaching right now. We see the difference that JB Bickerstaff has made here, even after just having a coach that not only cares, but knows this game very well and understands what to do as it relates to getting the most out of these young players. And, yeah, I want to let people know because usually when we're on here, man, it's not live. So I do want to let the people know we are live, man, and we appreciate you guys being here supporting us. I'm about to read some of these comments. I see J.K. Perkins. So if y'all listening, you want to send us some questions about free agency or anything, when we go live, you guys get to direct the show. We'll have things we want to talk about. There'll be certain story times that we protect. But if you guys got questions, if you guys have a free agent outlook, if you have even a draft perspective, because I think this, and I'm going to be screaming this, I believe the Detroit Pistons should trade back into the first round of this draft. I don't think that they should just sit pretty and rely on what's at 37. I think that there are some players in that 20 range, especially if a guy, like a Danny Wolf drops into the mid-20s, drops a little bit low. I think that as a player, you're going to have to go up and grab, especially when you're talking about what to do if you do run it back. You're going to have to go and fill some of these weaknesses with some players that carry high potential. In addition to what you can find, like, are you going to be able to go out there and find your Hardaway and your Beasley and your Schroeder type free agents again? Cheap deals that pay huge dividends for you. Because if you want a Malik Beasley, he gonna cost this year. But I'm
gonna disagree.
You don't think so?
I'm only bringing in somebody who can help me in the playoffs.
Ooh. So you're gonna disagree about re-signing him?
Yeah.
You know what? That's you and now Rob Beard, two legends here who covered the Pistons and covered Detroit sports. I'll chat family. Let me know what you guys think. Are you for Malik Beasley? They're talking about Malik Monk type deal for him, maybe $19 million a year for Malik Beasley. And I know there's some people who get uncomfortable with that because you're aggressive already. You're talking about even before and beyond. Tom Gore saying we really want to win a playoff series, right? You think this team is worth more than that and better than that right now.
Yeah, and the rest of the league is like
falling
diminished,
apart, dysfunctional right now.
It's not like you have Cleveland and Boston who are unbeatable. Now, if we were in a situation where Cleveland and Boston are in the Eastern Conference Final and they're having an epic 7-game series, I might back down a little bit. But that's not the case.
That's not the case at all. I thought that the path was that path to the Pacers.
So if I'm the Pistons, show your ass. Do whatever you can do to be in that Eastern Conference Finals next year.
Hey, you know what? I'm actually for that because I do believe you got a star in Kay Cunningham who is eager to be the face of the league. He wasn't shying away from it at All-Star Weekend. You think he's going to shy away from it now after the Pistons did even better than what they were showing then? I'm all for it. And let me read some of these comments here, man. Again, Arf says, T-Foss. Everybody loves T-Foss.
Hey.
J.K. Perkins says, Jalen Duren was acquired using the Milwaukee first-round pick we got in the Jeremy Grant trade. Yes, it was. It was the draft day trade for Isaiah Stewart in 2020 that prevented us from trading first-round picks. That is true. Thank you for clearing up that. Thank you for clearing that up. For putting that out there. But I am glad that those protections now are gone away. They did utilize that first-round pick to be able to trade it for Jalen Duren. And so that is some great stuff to add to the context. Anthony Williams, he says, I love when T-Foss is sharing his wisdom. Mega Hustle 313 says, bring in Bowl. And J.K. Perkins, this is why I let y'all know we live. He says, I didn't know this is live. What do you think about Jonathan Kuminga as a free agent pickup or sign and trade? He would be Tobias Harris' eventual replacement. I like
Did he
Kuminga,
say
but
Trey? Oh,
Jonathan Kuminga. He
I
thinks
have no problem with that.
and he would have to be what as a free agent or a sign and trade, depending on the type of attention that he may attract in free agents.
He would get in that 8-man rotation for the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I'm all in favor of it.
He's a playoff performer. When
Right.
you talk about that, you want those guys who can be in your rotation all year, but when you get to the playoffs, you know what these guys can take that next step up. And I see Yashua and Judah in the chat. Shout out, man, to some of the OGs there. We're going to be doing more lives. I promise you guys, and taking the questions from you guys and letting y'all drive this thing a whole lot more. He says, get Bobby Portis on this team ASAP. That was another player we talked about. We were discussing, do you go after a Bobby Portis or a Naz Reid? You know that Naz Reid is a little bit more skilled, but he's going to attract a lot of suitors. That price tag might be a little high, and then it takes away from everything else you're able to do. Bobby Portis, not going to give you as much skill, but he's going to give you that I will punch you in your nose energy every single night for a cheaper deal.
Bobby Portis is more of a motherfucker.
Hold on. How many of those do the Pistons currently have signed right now?
They got Isaiah Stewart.
Got Isaiah
Stewart.
And that's so they need more of them
MFers. Isaiah Stewart.
So they need more MFers, is what you're telling me.
No, Bobby Portis may not be a skill, but you know what? He's gonna be in there. He's gonna be thumping in any other people's guards and stuff. Yeah. He's got that attitude. You need that attitude next to Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is not that guy like, I'm coming out here, I'm going to fuck people up, and I'm just going to do it. I mean, he's a very good player.
Yeah.
But you need that dude that's going to, take on the pressure from the other team, the other fans, the other media, and whatever, and just don't give a damn. And Portis is more of that guy.
I feel like Rasheed Wallace was kind of that guy for that 2004 Pistons, who really took a lot of noise. And where was it amplified? Pacers game, the Pacers series, after the loss of game one. And he
we will get well in game two.
He didn't even have a good game in game two. But all the noise was on him. All the attention and spotlight was on him. I actually thought that it allowed the other Pistons players to just kind of play a lot more comfortable during that series. And I do believe that he took that on him because he is an MFer. When you got those guys, we see Isaiah Stewart do it. No one cared about his stats in that last home game against the Knicks they played. He had 0 points, bro, and 6 fouls. But they realized this dude harassed Cat into to oblivion and had him in hell in the fourth quarter, to the point that Cat, I think, scored 4 points the whole second half of that game, and the Pistons went away winning. Hey, you know what? They got another MFer for you, Ron Holland. Mm-hmm. He's a baby MFer.
Yeah,
he's getting there.
Yeah,
he's getting there.
I mean, yeah, I could live with that too. You can't have a bunch of nice guys out there, especially when you're building yourself as Bad Boys 2 or going back to work or whatever stuff. You need somebody, and it should be a guard or a small forward. You know what? Some dude that you just don't like.
You need one of those guys on that wing, and you're hoping when you look at guys like Asar Thompson and Ron Holland, they can get there. But sometimes, like, for as strong and as brute and as fierce as Ron Holland can be, I still don't know if he's that MF energy just yet. And that's where you're right. You need a guy who you can afford to have this guy get 6 fouls. You can afford to have this guy thrown out the game. You can afford to have this guy go out there and give you a flagrant foul once or twice a game. You need those types of guys on your team, especially if you, as Pistons, are saying, hey, we're the new bad boys. But if you're the new bad boys, there's a certain way that they walk. There's a certain way that they did things. And I appreciated the Pistons actually taking that step forward this year, because you saw a lot more physicality. You saw a lot more scrappiness. You saw a lot more of them trying to set the tone. But here's another one. J.K. Perkins says Beasley wouldn't take that mid-level exception, $14 million per year. Well, I know this. The Detroit Pistons do have a $14.1 million non-taxpayers exemption that they could use to bring back Malik Beasley. So what will have to happen if you really want Malik Beasley here, and if he really wants to be here as badly as it seemed at the trade deadline and throughout the course of the season, at the last playoff game and media, all these things he's talking about wanting to be here, he's going to have to take potentially a hometown discount. If his money gets risen up above $15 million, you got to think. Pistons got $24 million in practical cap space. Are you giving Malik Beasley 15, 16, 17, 19, 20 million of that.
Yeah, see, this is a two-way street.
So he's
And
going to have to take that
Beasley,
exception.
he
14.
might want to come back, but I'm thinking, do I want him back? I'm like, oh, let me think about that one.
I wonder how the people are feeling because I do see some support for Beasley, but overall, y'all let me know as we're talking about what the actual situation is for Beasley. But as I let that filter in, let me see here. Adis for one, Reed is like beef stew. I think he's a little. I don't know if he's MF for level, but he's a little crashed out at times. Anthony Williams, what are your thoughts on standing pat on the roster until the trade deadline? Oh, well, that's a different one. Until the trade, I don't know what's available. You're gonna have a lot of teams that are trying to make moves at the trade deadline, and I believe right now you can take advantage of teams in the offseason who are looking to set themselves up for the free agent play of the summer. So. Hey, T-Foss, before we wrap this up, because I'm seeing Big D Energy is about to start, you got a quick story from you, man? A quick just Uncle T-Foss story time story?
Sure, whatever you want, buddy boy.
Anything with Trader Jack?
Yeah, let me. Really. I'll tell you this story because I hear talk about is Cade Cunningham the guy? Yes, he is the guy.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
Don't give up. Cade Cunningham is better than Grant Hill.
Already.
Yeah. And Grant Hill was in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. But in this town, particularly with the Pistons, it seems like if somebody is a superstar, for whatever reason, we have a certain segment of people that want to get rid of them. They want to get rid of Grant Hill.
Talk to him, bro.
And Grant Hill ended up leaving, but I thought it was so toxic here.
They pushed him out the way
that he couldn't function like he wanted to here because there was just too much pressure and people were on his ass here. And these are Piston fans too. The other one, Isaiah Lord Thomas. Y'all want to get rid of him too?
That's crazy to me. I remember you told me that before. Like, that's crazy. I wish I could live through that time, but I feel like I kind of am right now because Cade Cunningham, he got people split on this stuff, man.
Right.
Seriously.
Here was the talk in Detroit when Isaiah Thomas, and let's say 1986 to 87, before they won their first title. You can't win a championship building your team around a 6'1" point guard. You need a big man. So what everybody want, well, not everybody, what a lot of people want to do, they want to trade Isaiah Thomas for Ralph Sampson.
What?
7'4" softy.
Wow.
Right.
Talk about bad boys.
So
talk about that because Isaiah Thomas, we know he's the original bad boy. We know he got that DNA.
Right.
He got the MF in him. Can you imagine if they went with something that they thought was the physical appearance of, but didn't have the DNA on the inside at all?
No, that would have been disastrous. Crazy. You know what? There would be no championships in 89, 90, or 2004. Because Joe, they wouldn't have put Joe Dumars in the position to bring that championship there. But I remember, there's this big swell trade Isaiah for Ralph Sampson. So we were in Sacramento, and by that time, Ralph Sampson's, I think his knees were shot, and so there was a practice in a Sacramento high school, and Ralph Sampson was running suicides because he was trying to get back into the league.
Yeah. So
the Pistons are practicing, and Mark McGuire quipped to Isaiah, "Hey Zeke, there goes your replacement over there," and the whole team fell out laughing.
Let's go, dog. Hey, look, I love doing this stuff. I think I saw Summer walk in too. I know you got some writing stuff to do. But hey, listen, people, we're gonna continue to bring these lives to you. I might try and do multiple of them a week. There'll be lives with me and T Falls summertime as well. And we also got some stuff that I'm playing with Anson and Chris Platty.
Yeah, be ready because this man just carries the computer around. He opens it up and just goes live. So you got to be on your P's and Q's.
Let's go. Hey, look, love y'all for being here right now. If you didn't get an opportunity to, please go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, share the stream, and get over to Big D Energy right now, which just went live via Woodward Sports. Hey, it's been Woodward Pistons. You already know we rock in the WSN network, and we appreciate you guys, man. Let's go.
Thank you.
Hey.
All right.